burnout actually has three different facets. The first is exhaustion, which is, I think, pretty what a lot of people think of when they think of burnout, that feeling of emotional and physical fatigue, weariness, feeling this loss of energy to complete one's work. So that's one facet. And then there's also cynicism, which is closely connected to disengagement. So this sense of indifference, detachment, loss of idealism as it relates to the organization. And feeling this cynicism really promotes negative feelings and attitudes, not just about the organization or your work, but actually towards your coworkers. And so it can really lead to this interpersonal avoidance, which we know can have detrimental effects on things like productivity and well-being. And then the last facet, which I think is kind of people are least familiar with, is this idea of inefficacy. So it's about doubting one's ability to perform effectively and giving yourself a negative self-evaluation, which leads to lower productivity and morale. So you can imagine with these facets, they can all be triggered or exacerbated by social interactions. So things like microaggressions. And you can see how developing human skills that foster more inclusive and equitable workplaces could be helpful to reducing any one of these effects. So ultimately, we know the workplace is a social environment, and not having a strong community, or even worse, experiencing a hostile work environment can lead to exhaustion, cynicism, or inefficacy. And when DEI programs really focus on how to develop more productive, more healthy relationships that foster this sense of belonging, it can really reduce burnout and disengagement and increase feelings of well-being. And then when they're done well, DEI programs can help people feel heard and understood. It can help them feel seen within the organization, which would also help this enhance connection and a sense of well-being. In terms of specific programmatic elements that might be helpful here, when we think about high quality learning programs, anything that really facilitates social exchange, so things like leveraging discussion groups or other ways to connect to people so that they're learning from one another. And of course, having those discussions and conversations line up with the core competencies that you're looking to develop. And then an even more specific intervention that exists within just the broader training world is this intervention called behavior modeling training, which can have implications or application to DEI. And so this is based on social learning theory and has several different components where it's about really being explicit about the behaviors and skills that you're looking to develop in people and making it clear to them. And then it's about providing positive role models or modeling for what good looks like in terms of those behaviors, and then providing opportunities for people to practice those skills and behaviors, and then building in a feedback loop so that you're socially reinforcing as people are practicing. And then it's about taking steps to maximize that transfer of learning to behaviors on the job, and things like goal setting can really help with that. So all of these components can work together to create a pretty powerful intervention that can be thought about as developing these human skills or these DEI skills that can ultimately help reduce burnout and disengagement.